Allow me to welcome each Mother Kevin. What share with very briefly prayer, hope, compassion, humility, courage, and selflessness. For these are virtues that we all need along our Christian journey to holiness. Secondly, the promotion encourages people to pray through her intercession so that evidence of favors and miracles can be obtained, which will lead to her beatification and eventually her canonization. Annually, the Cause Office submits the Vice Postulator and final financial administrator's reports to the Vatican and other stakeholders. There is ongoing collection of favors from those who receive them at the intercession of Mother Kevin. We also write and publish literature to provide information to stakeholders and the public. And we encourage all people of goodwill to contribute the running of the cause activities by requesting them to donate or to buy the articles that you have seen out there displayed in the tent. So we ask you, we request you to buy these articles, which we sell in order to raise the needed funds. Thus request each one of you not to go back from this lecture without purchasing one article or more. As I conclude, I believe that this memorial lecture, which is dedicated to Mother Kevin's great passion for education, will serve to anchor us all deeper into an appreciation of the life of that great missionary woman who did immeasurable work for the people in Uganda and beyond. I appeal to all of you to continue praying for your special needs, your special intentions through the intercession of Mother Kevin, because her beatification and canonization depend on proofs of her intercessory power before God. We are inviting you, one and all, to join the Association of the Friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters, and to visit our office at Nsambya, which is within the premises of St. Joseph's Girls Secondary School near Nsambya Hospital. Thank you for listening to me, and I wish you all good listening. I am Sister Margaret Kubanze Namubiru, Vice Postulator of the cause.
Thank you very much, Sister Margaret. I want to welcome those who have just come in. We are happy to have you with us this evening. And the places. The places of convenience are just behind the tent. There's a double stalled building which is wide open, and that's where they are. And at this point, I want to invite Father Bwangato, who is going to take us through to work with Professor Semakula during the next session. And I want to encourage all of us to be very, very attentive and learn as much as you can from this lecture.
Thank you so much, Mistress of Ceremonies this afternoon, guest of honor, Professor Mary Okakor, the Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Kampala, representing His Grace, the Archbishop. Our guest speaker this afternoon, Professor Semakula Kiwanuka. Brothers and sisters, good afternoon. I was sent a summary, just a summary of 15 pages outlining the curriculum vitae of Professor Semakula Kiwanuka. It is just a summary. And in this summary, I'm going to try to make a summary so that you get to know who the guest lecturer this afternoon is. Semakula Professor Chiwanuka Matia Mulumba holds a PhD from the University of London, and he specialized in history. Yesterday we happened to talk, and before I gave him my name, we ended up talking a lot about a lot of historical things. And then he reminded me of a Uganda saying of someone who went to Koya's Keriato and failed. Anyway, he's a professor of history. He holds a postgraduate diploma in development economics from Oxford University. He holds a postdoctoral specialization in the transfer of science and technology from the University of Sussex in the UK. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts, Hons, from London and Makerere University. He was Minister of State, Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of investment. He was Minister of State, Office of the Prime Minister in charge of Luero Triangle. Professor Hon Semakula Chiwanuka has wide experience in government, diplomacy, the international economic and trading systems, as well as academia. He was consultant of the United Nations Environmental Program, which has its headquarters in Nairobi. He was in charge of project planning and coordination at Makerere University. He was a senior, and he was Uganda's most senior diplomat as ambassador and permanent representative to the UN in New York. His leadership and diplomacy won him respect from his fellow diplomats. He was twice elected as vice president of the 53rd and 57th UN General Assembly. He was vice chairman of the Commission on Sustainable Development, chairman of the United Nations Forum on Forests, chairman of the African Group of Ambassadors, chairman of the First Committee on Security and Disarmament, chairman of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. He was ambassador and permanent representative. As ambassador and permanent representative, he participated actively in all the organs of the UN system, such as the Security Council, the Economic and Social South-to-South Cooperation, and all United Nations international conferences and summits, including the Millennium Summit of the year 2000. Professor Semakula Chiwanuka has extensive management experience. He was the Executive Director of Uganda's oldest management training and advisory center, and it was a period of immense challenges for government to cope with structural adjustment policies. But Professor Semakula Chiwanuka led a team of 10 management consultants who provided consultant services to government for its World Bank projects and in corporations as well as teaching. He brought a new vision and a new sense of mission and direction and transformed MTAC from a government parastatal dependent on government budgets into an aggressive private corporation that was market-led, quality-driven, and paying its way. Professor Semakula Chiwanuka is a distinguished academician. He's an academic and a scholar. He was Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies and Research, Makerere University, and he was responsible for providing academic and intellectual leadership. He was in charge of overall organization, coordination, and administration of all postgraduate and research activities. Among his accomplishments was the development of linkages with the world of work, business, industry, the professions, the public and private and the farming sectors. Among his many accomplishments, Professor Kiwanuka prepared the background papers for the United Nations education programs. He was director, executive director, and participated in the organization of the first African Ministerial Conference on the Environment. And Professor Kiwanuka, it's a lot, has published widely many articles in the fields of economic development, environment, education, and food security. He has participated in hundreds and hundreds of conferences and seminars and workshops, and has published a lot. And if we go back in history, in the 1960s, as a student in Makerere, he was a beneficiary of the UK Ministry of Overseas Development Scholarship, and he was also a recipient of Uganda government scholarship for postgraduate studies in the UK. And at Makerere University, he was a recipient of Share Academic Prize as the best all-round faculty of arts group student graduating. He was Vice President Makerere Students Union. Yesterday, we held a long talk over the phone. And he said, "Father, I am everything. I'm a professor of professors, I'm an ambassador, and I'm a son of the church." Yeah, that's nice to do one. It's a great honor for us today in this second memorial lecture, those of you who attended the first memorial lecture, which was inside the main hall when Professor Darubera, with his flowery language, as someone described it, led us in the understanding of Mother Kevin and who she was. Today, having Professor Semakura Kiwanuka is a great honor in our midst. Join me to welcome Hon Professor Semakura Kiwanuka to deliver the second memorial lecture of Mother Kevin. Thank you.
Our guest of honor, Professor Mary Okwakol, Monsignor Kasibante, representing His Grace the Archbishop, the Reverend Superior General of the Little Sisters of St. Francis, Reverend Fathers and Reverend Sisters, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank Reverend Father Wangato, who has made a flowery introduction of my background. Thank you, Father. I hope this is the beginning of the opportunity to know each other much more than we have. But first of all, let me express my gratitude to the Superior General of the Little Sisters of St. Francis for inviting me to deliver this second Mother Kevin Memorial Lecture. Although I have traveled this route before, it has been quite a while since I delivered, for example, the late Joseph Muiru Memorial Lecture, which was organized by the Bank of Uganda. Then there was the Archbishop Kiwanuka Memorial Lecture, as well as the Buganda Coronation Lectures. So this second Mother Kevin Memorial Lecture, which was scheduled to be on the 27th of March, 2020, is a comeback for me. Because of the COVID pandemic, today's lecture had to be postponed. When I was invited to deliver this second Mother Kevin Memorial Lecture, at first I had to think of the numerous achievements of Mother Kevin. Because, as we all know, hers was an exceptionally distinguished career which covered many fields. First and foremost, she was not only a religious missionary, but she was also an educationist and a builder of health centers and hospitals. But I went back and reread the letter of invitation to me from the Mother General. The Mother General was specific. She wrote, and I quote, "The lecture should articulate Mother Kevin's role as an educationist, specifically of the girl child and the empowerment of women in Uganda and East Africa and beyond." So having digested what I was expected to say, I had to look at the history of Uganda itself. And I thought I should make reference to Sekabaka Mutesa, whom I've called a partner in development. So as we remember and eulogize Mother Kevin, we must not forget that remarkable man, Sekabaka Walugembe Mutesa I, who was then the king of Uganda, whose wisdom, vision, and statesmanship led to the foundation of modern Uganda. That was when he invited the first Christian missionaries, who much later included Mother Kevin. For this reason, we can describe Sekabaka Mutesa as Uganda's first partner in development. I thought that because the Mother General put emphasis on seeing Mother Kevin as a champion of women empowerment, I said I shall look at this in a wider context. And I said I should bring in President Museveni and his role in the empowerment of women. When we speak or discuss the empowerment of women, as the Mother Superior General suggested, I thought it appropriate to think of what Uganda as a country has achieved under the leadership of President Museveni, particularly in this area of women empowerment. Making reference to President Museveni in this lecture may seem far-fetched, but when we speak of empowerment of women, President Museveni's contribution looms large, as we shall briefly show. His relevance becomes relevant in this lecture. When he came to power in 1986, he had what we can call an ideology of political and social achievements. The vehicle to drive his ideology was inclusiveness and the structures which he built in the national resistance movement. Village councils were created. They were called resistance councils. But there was a proviso that they must include women. Representative councillors from these councils, from the village up to parliament, and the result has been the phenomenal presence of women in all levels of power structure, including members of parliament, ministers, etc. These women are role models right from the villages to ministerial levels. I'm sure younger girls in Uganda grow up knowing that one of Uganda's first past vice president was a woman and educated in the institutions founded by Mother Kevin. Today, the vice president, the prime minister, the second deputy prime minister, and the speaker of parliament are women. To these, we add the numerous members of parliament and councillors at all levels who are in those positions because of the empowerment structure which President Museveni put in place. In schools and institutions of higher learning, the numbers of female students is impressive because women are in leadership at every level. Their presence is also in professions such as medicine, engineering, and university professors. It is not an accident that our guest of honor is a professor, Professor Mary Akwakol, representing the generation of women achievers. But not only that, she is a living product of the efforts of Mother Kevin. The girl child. The guideline from the Superior General regarding this lecture was not only about the empowerment of women, but it was the protection of the girl child. This forced me to look up the outcomes of a number of global conferences, including the fourth World Conference on Women, which took place in Beijing 27 years ago in 1995. Besides focusing on the girl child, Beijing identified and recommended a number of what they called strategic objectives and actions on women. These included education, the human rights of women, women and health, the girl child, and on the girl child, Beijing devoted 26 paragraphs. I found the following declaration is relevant to what Mother Kevin stood for 75 years ago, very long before. And let us look at these declarations. I would like to invite you to link Mother Kevin and her vision 75 years ago and what the global conferences of today about women. For example, I looked at Declaration number 9. It reads as follows: ensure the full implementation of the human rights of women and the girl child as an inalienable, integral, and invisible part of all human rights and fundamental freedoms. Declaration number 26 reads as follows: promote women's economic independence, including employment, eradicate the persistence and increasing burden of poverty on women by addressing the structural causes of poverty through changes in economic structures. And one can go on and on. When, therefore, we consider all this, it becomes clear that Mother Kevin was far ahead of her time, because all her plans and dreams and actions 75 years before were geared to the education, the empowerment, and protection of women and the girl child. Mother Kevin can be looked at as a partner in development. The expression and concept of partners in development, as we know it today, was conceived at the United Nations Millennium Summit of the year 2000. At that time, as has been mentioned, I was the ambassador and permanent representative of Uganda to the United Nations in New York. That was when member states decided to create a conducive environment for the development goals, which drew a roadmap to include targets on development. We have described Mother Kevin as a partner in development because of her works and achievements in many fields. Her extraordinary vision, talent, determination, and love for God and his people was described by Professor Dabela in the first inaugural lecture, whose flowery language I cannot match. For example, he wrote, and I quote, "The compelling, propulsive, and throbbing leadership, the breathtaking establishment of convents, schools, hospitals, and social services which took place," etc., etc. That was Professor Dabela's description of Mother Kevin's remarkable work in Uganda and beyond. For my part, while I thought of the Superior General's guideline, my attention was also drawn to the current Kampala, or the recent Kampala Archdiocese slogan of the 3 R's. That is, remember, rejoice, and renew. The moderator, Reverend Father Wangato, reading through the draft of this speech, corrected me and said, the 3 R's are not very recent. They were coined 6 years ago. I said, thank you, Father, but they're still very relevant. And that's why I maintained them in my speech. I found the 3 R's very appropriate because, as a country, we must remember not only Mother Kevin, but also the gallant band of little sisters of St. Francis and their extraordinary service to Uganda and the church. But we must also rejoice because of what Mother Kevin achieved. First and foremost, she was a religious person and a missionary, as exemplified by the many religious institutions such as convents she founded. But she was also an educationist, as exemplified by the very many schools she founded. She was passionate about the health of the people. Hence, the many hospitals, health centers, centers of leprosy she founded. But today, our main focus is on Mother Kevin as an educationist and partner in development. I've referred to her, as well as Sekabaka Mutesa I, as Uganda's partners in development because the growth and development of nations are the outcomes of joint endeavors. Government, non-governmental entities, individuals, etc., who directly or indirectly build what today are called multi-stake partnerships. The Uganda of today, the Uganda of the 21st century, with its teeming millions of people, is a product of collective endeavors. It has been built not in the language of Sir Winston Churchill, that is, by sweat and blood, but by brick and brick, by men and women. As we have pointed out, in the forefront of these partners were the Christian missionaries, of whom Mother Kevin was one. The reason why I'm referring to Mother Kevin as Uganda's partner in development is because I wanted to highlight the roles and contributions she made, in particular the Little Sisters of St. Francis, etc. As I thought about Mother Kevin, naturally I read around, and I came across a book whose title is They Built for the Future, a chronicle of Makerere University College, 1922-1952. 58 years ago, Mrs. Margaret McPherson, Professor Dabela, and those who are contemporaries of those years would remember that lady. Margaret McPherson, a former donor at Makerere University, published a book on Makerere with the above title. She was referring specifically to the early men and women who served Makerere, Uganda and East Africa. At that time, Makerere was the region's premier institution of higher learning. Mrs. McPherson's focus on the future of the university and its role to produce qualified men and women who would build Uganda as well as East Africa. This forced me to look at the subject of education in a wider context and its contribution and role in the economic development of nations. In describing Mother Kevin's work, it is important to highlight the sectors in which she was a major player. One of these, as I've been saying, was education. Today, the demands of modern state and its industries demand technical and continuing education. It is a well-known fact that employers, managers, as well as governments realize very clearly that modern industry suffers from obsolescence, and therefore they demand new methods, processes, and machines which are continually introduced. Old skills become relevant, new industries spring up, in addition to the amount of scientific and technical knowledge which keeps growing. More research becomes relevant. To these demands by the nations, by industry, and the modern state, there must be people behind them, and hence our repeated reference to Mother Kevin as one of the builders of our country. Education in professional development. Even though personality development is extremely subjective, education is important for overall development of men and women. Education becomes a catalyst in a person's personality development. It introduces us It introduces a person to different perspectives. As we talk about education this way, our mind goes back to this remarkable lady, remarkable nun, Mother Kevin. Here I made reference to social development, to professional development, and childhood education. Health is important in education, and this is what I wrote. Human development is marked by both growth of skills and knowledge, and well-being of individuals. Both health and education are crucial dimensions. These forces fit in our work better. There's a link between education and health, as studies have shown. It indicates that good health and nutrition are requirements for active learning. Thus, the government and education institutions are developing drivers of training. Because I put emphasis on education, I thought it relevant to make reference to Uganda when it introduced universal primary education. The objectives of the government was to enable development of every child to enter and remain in school until they completed the primary school cycle. Consequently, in 1997, universal primary education, known as UPE, was implemented with the intention of broadening access to primary schooling, largely through reducing the costs of schooling. was in that way. She founded many schools. She paid attention. Today, we speak of technical education. This woman, Mother Kevin, was far ahead of her time. Because when we speak today of the need for technical education, we should remember that 100 years ago, Mother Kevin already emphasized, and I quote, the teaching of crafts and as the nucleus of the village industry. She had challenges, especially in the area of health and midwifery. Facing what was described as one of the most pressing and urgent problems for the new missionaries was to find a remedy for the appalling levels of infant mortality among the women in the country. The rate was so high as to disturb all medical personnel in the country. The Protestant missionaries had faced the same problem with enthusiastic zeal. Hence, their team of doctors and nurses at Mengo Hospital established a maternity center, which was bringing untold blessing to the country. But the Catholic missionaries were not allowed by the Holy See to do the same. That made Mother Kevin to conclude with a lament because of the existing canon law. Nuns were not permitted to practice midwifery in spite of the frightening rates of infant mortality. And Mother Kevin was forced to lament and say, we won't build a living church on dead bodies. We must help the living. That was Mother Kevin. She was sort of challenging the guidance of our church that nuns should not engage with should not engage in midwifery. And yet, here people were dying. And she said, are we going to build the church only on the dead? So it was a challenge for her. Hence, she persisted. Unfortunately, she had the support of the then Bishop Biermans, who was at Insanda of the Mayfield Fathers. But sadly, the Catholic Church still frowned on nuns doing maternity work. It was not until 1936 that the Holy See initiated a new progressive legislation. Mother Kevin, as a crusading educationist, had much explaining to those who did not understand her determination to provide a Catholic training school for Catholic nurses and to create a Catholic nursing service. They didn't understand it because it was in contradiction of the guidelines of her church. But she persisted. Continuing with her crusade to promote health, Mother Kevin established leprosy centers at Nyenga, Buluba. That was because of the terrible impact of leprosy, etc. She established schools for the blind, hospitals in Zambia, Nagarama, Kamoni, St. Francis Nyenga Leprosy Center, St. Francis Buluba, St. Francis Kokonyero, and of course the great hospital at Insambia. I made reference to the technical side, vocational training. In their book, Changing Uganda, Dr. Holger Hansen and Michael Twaddle drew attention to the importance of vocational and technical education. Today, these are buzzwords, but the Catholic missionaries, among whom Mother Kevin was one, they realized the teaching of skills as essential, and Mother Kevin was a key player in this. The founding of Musambia Hospital, it's a great hospital, is one of the big testimonies of this lady. It began under a mango tree. She couldn't be deterred. Things were difficult, resources were not there, but she said, all the same, I'm going to start. And this, to her, was a fulfillment of the healing mission of the church, which said, go out the whole world, proclaim the good news to all nations. This is from Mark chapter 16. And evangelism, of course, was one of the work of the missionaries. But they realized the importance of good health, and Mother Kevin was in the forefront. Mother Kevin, the educationist, was ahead of her time. Education and training are key methods in the development of the human resource of any country. As we have shown, Mother Kevin was a prominent player in this area. I've said she was ahead of her time because, although we have also made reference to the world conferences, such as the World Conference of Women, which took place in Mexico in 1975, the World Conference on Women, which took place in Copenhagen in 1980. I've already made reference to Beijing. So, what do we say? What is not this book? I don't know whether you are following it. There was an additional part which was not included. Let me go through it as quickly as possible. By making reference to an old African saying that when you educate a woman, you have educated the nation. In her guideline, the Mother General asking me to speak said, put emphasis on Mother Kevin as an educationist. So because of the many women's education institutions and schools and colleges Mother Kevin founded, we must count her among the education heroes of modern Uganda, thereby fulfilling the African saying that when you educate a man, you are educating an individual. But if you educate a woman, you are educating a nation. Mother Kevin was one of the outstanding educators of our country. And we must her as that. As we pay tribute to her as one of Uganda's greatest educationists, I propose, my dear sisters and Mother General, I propose that a day be designated and observed in all the institutions Mother Kevin founded. That day, these schools and hospitals and the girls in those schools should engage in a charitable activity. A Mother Kevin Day in the institutions which were founded by Mother Kevin. And the girls and the people who are in these institutions should engage in some sort of charitable activity in order to pay tribute to this remarkable woman. As I conclude, I beg to be allowed to end with what has been written by others. because Mother Kevin is an outstanding hero, not only in the Catholic Church, but in Uganda as a whole. I found what I adopted as a fitting conclusion, which was written by Mr. Kapumirizi. I don't know him, but I read a lot, and I came across this. He wrote, in the Sunday vision of December 9, 2018, and I quote, with schools such as Namagunga, Mother Kevin lies happily in her grave, satisfied that her dream of taking women to the peak of academic excellence, as you can see, Madam Pakol here, she's one of our very distinguished professors, taking them to the peak of academic excellence came true. The results of the peak speak for themselves. Namagunga has mothered top women such as Professor, I believe you're a product of Namagunga. We are glad you're with us, because I can point to living examples. Namagunga has mothered top women such as Dr. Speciosa Wandera Kazibwe, the first East Africa Vice President, Professor Josephine Namboze, the first East African medical doctor, Uganda's first veterinary surgeons, Teresa Namatovu and Jenny Kamia, and many others. We have an impressive list, which includes Uganda's female urban and regional planner, Eunice Owino and Margaret Kiryocha, Marjorie Naruganda, the first Ugandan female to obtain a Bachelor of Science degree in a university. In the introduction, the process of beatification has been outlined to us before I began speaking. Because this process of Mother Kevin as the servant of God, let us, all of us, pray for that process. My thanks go to the Superior General, Sister Mary Cecilia Njeri. Sister, I thank you for your kind invitation by honoring me as a guest speaker. And the Reverend Fathers and Sisters, and to Monsignor Kasibante for your presence, and all of you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for being, in one way or another, a devotee to Mother Kevin. Let us continue to pray for the process of beatification. Let us continue to pray that she works miracles, etc., and fortify herself in the history of Uganda and of the Church. Thanks very much indeed. What do you say? I have been thanking the Mother General for inviting me. I should also thank her because this provided an occasion for me to wear my London University PhD gown. It has been brought somewhere. I couldn't even trace where the cap is because it was such a long time. that an occasion like this, where we academics wear these robes, has come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Semakula Chiwanuka, for that brilliant expression and presentation of Mother Kevin in your professorial robes. Thank you for reflecting your status as a professor, because you have given an assignment to the sisters that they should design a day, designate a day, and it be observed. So that's an assignment which I think Mother Vicaress will take to the superior, who will introduce it to the whole congregation. That's how professors do their things. Secondly, you are known as a professor of history. However, I propose, if it's the wish of this August gathering, that we honor you now with the title of Professor of Mother Kevin Studies. And among all the friends of the sisters of Little Sisters of St. Francis, I've noted that you have never taken a vow of obedience. Never. I doubt whether you have ever taken a vow of obedience. But the constant reference to the letter Mother Superior wrote you, it shows how obedient you are, and you must be the first among equals in the Friends of Mother Kevin. I was told it's not good to repeat the words of professors. I invite you that we go for a short interlude, and after that we shall come back with the other items on the agenda. Thank you so much.
No, they didn't. So they had somebody else. Father Chigo basali laptop. Because the father, you know, who is the other one? Who is the father of Baganda in a laptop? You can take it. Eh? I'm going to the sorry? And you're going to treat when you interlude, but it's going to find here.
It's here. Okay, come.
Just DJ. Just a reminder for those who came in later, the places of convenience are just behind the tent where they're preparing our food. The Devil's Storage House. It's an open house. That is where they are. Ladies and gentlemen, the 10 minutes we had for the interlude are over, and right now we are running behind schedule, and therefore I want to invite ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite a very important person and therefore request that those who are still outside, please come and take your seats before I invite this very, very important person. DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had it all and we still have more in store. Right now, I want to invite Mother General of the Little Sisters of St. Francis.
I want to inform this gathering here. As you've been told earlier, I'm not the Mother General. I'm the Assistant Mother General for the Vicarage. The Mother General greets you very warmly. She's not able to be here because she's in the hospital right now. She's admitted in Zambia Hospital with diabetes, but she's doing better. She warmly greets you all and wishes you the best. I'm now going to read her speech verbatim as I begin. Before I do so, I'd like to greatly thank the professor for the Mother Kevin studies, the guest speaker who has given us a wonderful lecture. Can we give him another thunderous clap? The Vicar General Monsignor Kasibante, representing the Archbishop of this diocese, the guest speaker, His Excellency the Ambassador Professor Matthias Semakula Kiwanuka, the guest of honor, Professor Mary Okwakol, the friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters, the clergy here present, the Franciscan Missionary Sisters for Africa, because of coronavirus pandemic, we have failed to do so. In a very special way, I recognize the presence of His Grace, the Archbishop Paul Semogerere, in the persons of Monsignor Kasibante here present, our host for this occasion, the guest of honor of the day, Professor Mary Okwakor, the friends of Mother Kevin and Little Sisters, the initiators of this memorial lecture, and the guest speaker, His Excellency, the Ambassador Professor Matthias Semakula Chiwanuka. Thanks to the friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters of St. Francis for honoring Mother Mary Kevin, an all-round educator, as we have heard, for her immense achievements and holistic contributions to the humanity in Uganda and beyond. As we gather today for this second memorial lecture, it is my pleasure and joy to share with you all a little who this great woman in our beloved land, the Pearl of Africa, is and was and will continue to be remembered and hailed with fond memories for her missionary zeal, evangelization, empowerment of humanity with great compassion, as we have heard from the lecture. Mother Mary Kevin, formerly known as Teresa Kearney, was an Irish-born at Arklow County, Ireland, on 29th April 1875. She was orphaned at the age of 6 years and thereafter brought up by her grandmother. At the age of 20, she entered the Franciscan convent at St. Mary's Abbey, Mill Hill, London, and she made her religious profession in 1898. Her dream was to work for African Americans. However, Providence offered her the opportunity to serve the Africans in East Africa and beyond. She volunteered as one of the pioneers with the 5 sisters and came to Uganda in 1903 through the invitation of Bishop O'Halloran Millhill missionaries. She came with great zeal, as you have heard, to carry out the mission of Christ as stated in Luke 4, 18-19. And coupled with a strong love for missionary life, she came and Uganda became her home. Through the quality of her religious life and fired zeal for the spread of the faith and mission of evangelization, she served with all humility, great love and determination, as Jesus did. She established hospitals, schools, colleges, and charitable enterprises, including the care of lepers, homes for physically challenged persons, home for the destitute, among the many challenges she endured. Through her heroic virtues of reaching out with compassion, love, and mercy to the poor, needy, vulnerable, and marginalized of society, she touched many lives and brought about transformation, empowerment, and wholeness to many, as well elaborated by our chief speaker, guest speaker. The impact of her loving services was obvious. She attracted young girls who desired to be like her, and 1923, 20 years down the road, she founded the Institute of the Little Sisters of St. Francis, now 99 years in existence, with a current population of nearly 800 sisters working in East African countries and in USA mission, and over 100 girls in religious formation houses. The Little Sisters of St. Francis endeavor to carry on the work and mission Mother Kevin started and faithfully carried out till her death at the age of 82, when she passed on in 1957. Mother Mary Kevin, popularly known as Mama Kevina, was Christ-centered missionary who courageously witnessed to Christ fearlessly and lovingly. She loved people with that love of God that goes beyond race, color, religion, and social status. Whatever she did was done for Jesus, with Jesus, and in Jesus, just like her motto said, all for thee, Lord. That was her motto, all for thee, Lord. She nourished her relationship with the Lord with a deeper prayer life that was reflected in her words and her deeds, and started her day at 4 a.m. with contemplative prayer, her driving force for her daily activities. Because of her sanctity, she was raised by the church into a status of servant of God on 6 November 2016 at Rubaga Cathedral, Kampala, during the official opening of the cause of beatification and canonization. A great day to be remembered in the history of the Little Sisters and the Franciscan Missionary Sisters for Africa, the Diocese of Lugazi, and the Church in Uganda and beyond. After 2 years of hard work and commitment to carry out the cause process of the inquiry for life, work, and heroic virtues of the servant of God, Mother Mary Kevin Kearney, by able, chosen, dedicated, supportive, and committed team for the cause. Maybe we need to see the members on that cause. Sister Margaret and your team, are you here? Sister Margaret Kubanze, she's not here for now, the one who gave us a talk on the cause for beatification. She's the vice postulator, the one championing the research and the work about the cause for beatification of Mother Kevin. So, we gathered on 17th November 2018 for yet another memorable day to witness the closure of the diocesan phase. All the materials and documents about this woman of faith and compassion were safely taken to the Vatican Rome for study. Hence, we opened the Roman phase of the cause of beatification and canonization of the servant of God, Mother Mary Kevin Kearney. And we needed to pray that we get a medical miracle so that our Mother Kevin can be beatified and let alone canonized. So from this time, when we closed the Roman phase, we began this process. We are encouraging all people of God and our friends to continue praying, as I have said, using the official prayer card with ardent faith through Mother Mary Kevin's intercession for favors and miracles, and to report them all to the office of the cause of beatification in Nsambya Regional House or the Generate in Jinja. Secondly, we endeavor to continue to make this great woman of faith and love to be known to all humanity near and far. Thirdly, to continue raising funds or making financial contributions for the Roman phase and other activities related to the cause. I wish to inform this august house that next year, 1st of May 2023, the Institute of the Little Sisters of St. Francis will be celebrating 100 years centenary jubilee. We deserve a clap. With the Association of the Friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters of St. Francis, we launched the construction of Mother Kevin Centenary Building on 13th October 2018. This exercise was to begin resource mobilization to construct 100 rooms for the Little Sisters in memory of our foundress and to mark 100 years of loving service to God's people. This noble venture was deeply affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, as you all know, and somehow the construction stalled. But we resumed resource mobilization on 7th May 2022, whereby we launched the Institute Centenary Celebration and had fundraising drive that raised some funds to continue with the construction. Little Sisters are making appeal to you, dear lovely guests here today. The Little Sisters, we are making appeal to you, our dear friends, for financial and material support towards this project. Hence, your understanding and generosity and support in all ways to accomplish this venture will be highly appreciated. Today, Mother Kevin, as our role model of holiness, is calling us back as a pilgrim people of God to that gospel of compassion in a world that is driven by selfishness, corruption, hatred, and individualism. She, Mother Kevin, is calling us back to seek Christ in the suffering humanity, the poor and marginalized, in order to change the lives of the people by doing something about their pain and situation, just like Pope Francis is encouraging us to do. Yes, called to make a difference in people's lives, doing small ordinary things in an extraordinary way. In conclusion, I would like to invite you all who have known more about Mama Kevina today to popularize her in your homes, places of work, in the churches, among friends and families, so that she can be beatified for our great joy and for the greater glory of God. The official prayer for beatification is available outside there. The quality time, ideas, monetary contributions you have made to support the legacy of Mother Mary Kevin Kearney are highly appreciated. And be assured, Mother Mary Kevin is praying for you. Please pray to Mother Mary Kevin, visit her in Kokonjeru, her burial place, and ask for favors, and you will not regret. Thank you once again for coming to grace this occasion. May God's protective hand be upon you as you return home, and may He bless you all abundantly. My God and my all, St. Francis, pray for us. Servant of God, Mother Mary Kevin, intercede for us. Oh, let us follow, follow Mother Kevin in true peace, love and unity. Oh, let us follow, follow Mother Kevin in true peace, love and unity. Thank you for your attention.
until she gets back to her seat. Thank you very much, sister, for ably representing Mother General. And we are trusting God for her healing. Before we invite the very last speaker this evening, I want to recognize the following. I want to recognize the Vicaress and the General Council of the Little Sisters of St. Francis. I also want to recognize the Regional Superior of the Franciscan Missionary Sisters and all the sisters that came along with her. The Reverend Fathers present, the old and current students from the institutions founded by Mother Mary Kevin, Mother Servant of God, the regional superiors, Central because she is the host, and the others, Dr. Sechtoreko, the Executive Director of Nsambya Hospital, who is also a dear friend of Mother Kevin, and he supported us tremendously at the first memorial lecture. This time around he was extremely busy, but amidst his tight schedule, he made time to be here because he's a friend of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters. Thank you so much, Dr. Sectorico. We don't take that for granted. We really appreciate it. I also want to recognize the son, and I repeat, the son of, and at a certain point, he was the only son of Mother Mary Kevin, and this is none other than Professor Paul DeBella and his entire family, because they're all dear friends. The professor is a son, as we all know, and the rest of the family, we're all very dear friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters of St. Francis. And I want also to recognize each and every one of you who made time to be here today. In the name of friendship, in the name of upholding the legacy of this great woman of God, the servant of God, Mother Mary Kevin. Thank you so, so much for honoring our invitation and also acknowledging the importance of being here this evening. And lastly, I want to recognize the chairperson of the publicity committee of the Friends of Mother Kevin. I've seen him. Where is Mr. Sina William? Yes, that's the gentleman who's been pushing us, where you guys, we must have the meetings, we need this, I need the articles, I need everything. Thank you so, so much for your tireless effort to see that today is a success. I want to appreciate all the service providers, Radio Sapienza and Popo Memorial Center management. Thank you for everything that you've done and you continue doing for us. And of course, the fathers, I've already appreciated them, but I even appreciate them more because they have been very, very, very supportive. We are forever grateful for that. I'm doing this because, as the Baganda say, engome nene wevuga, entono tezivuga. So once the I want to recognize Professor Patrick Chamanwa, the Vice Chancellor of Uganda Matters University. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. And Professor Maviri, the retired Vice Chancellor of Uganda Matters University. We are honored to have you all here. And, of course, the friends. The friends, the friends, the friends. All of us friends. Thank you so much for being here and working, because it's not only the committee which has put this together, but all the friends. The old boys did a great job going around, getting contacts for others, the old girls, the friends in their different capacities. They played a big role to ensure that this evening is a success. And of course, upholding the mentorship and coaching and growing of the servant of God, Mother Mary Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for accepting to be with us. And the guests who are not yet friends, please come and join us for a noble cause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, finally, we want to hear from the big drum. And I want to invite the Executive Director of the National Council of Higher Education, Doesn't she deserve better than that? I had paused a little bit because I thought my chairperson wanted to say something to me. But this, we are going to hear from our chief guest, Dr. Mary Josie Okakol. And as I said before, she is none other than the Executive Director for the National Council of Higher Education. We are honored to have you. And the theme today was about education, because that's where Mother Mary Kevin's Servant of God's Heart was, and that is why we couldn't think of any other chief guest but you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Monsignor Kasibante, representative of His Grace, the Archbishop of Kampala, the Mother General of the Little Sisters of St. Francis, here represented by the Vicaress, the Chairperson of Friends of Mother Kevin, the guest speaker, Professor Semakula Kiwanuka, the Little Sisters of St. Francis, all the clergy present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It gives me great pleasure this afternoon to associate myself with the Mother Kevin second memorial lecture. I would like to thank the Mother General, Sister Cecilia Njeri, and the Friends of Mother Kevin for inviting me to be at this function as chief guest. I'm honored. As As it has been highlighted by the guest speaker and also by the vicaress, Mother Kevin touched and influenced the lives of many people through her words and her deeds. She committed herself to strive for better life for the disadvantaged in Uganda in particular and Africa in general. Her deeds, as we've heard, included, among others, founding of missions such as the congregations of Little Sisters of St. Francis and the Franciscan Missionary Sisters for Africa. She promoted education through establishment of primary and secondary schools, as well as teacher training colleges, nurses training schools, hospitals, orphanages, a school for the blind, and 2 centers for leprosy. One of Mother Kevin's areas of great interest was the advancement of women, as she believed that women's education was central to their empowerment. The theme of today's celebration of Mother Kevin's life is Mother Mary Kevin, Kearney, and her passion for education. It is a known fact that the ultimate goal of education is to help an individual navigate life and contribute to society. According to Nelson Mandela, education is the most important weapon which you can use to change the world, unquote. For women, it is the weapon that propels them and their families to progress. It has already been highlighted and said many times over and again that if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Educated women lift families, they lift communities, they lift countries out of poverty, disease, and ignorance. Napoleon once said, "Give me an educated mother, and I shall promise you the birth of a civilized, educated nation." That quote sums it all up and emphasizes the important role Mother Kevin played by starting educational institutions in Uganda and other parts of Africa. Regrettably, there is still a long way to go before women around the world, Uganda inclusive, fulfill their education potential for the good of society. Let me take this opportunity to appeal to all of us here present to support girls and women's education today. If you do support women's education today, you are supporting sustainability of this country, this continent, and the world tomorrow. So each individual here and beyond is requested to support a girl to access and remain in school or an institution, or in an institution. There are many bright but needy girls, and who, if given an opportunity, they will excel. Let me that the success of Mother Kevin's contribution to women's empowerment through education is evidenced by the fact that there are many trailblazers that have been mentioned already in different fields, but I'll also highlight or repeat some of them for emphasis. The first vice president, not in East Africa, but in Africa, was a lady by the name of Speciosa Wandira Kazwe, who was educated at Mount St. Mary's, Namabunga. Professor Josephine Namboze was also educated at Mount St. Mary's College, Namabunga. The list is very long, but when I was asked to be guest of honor at this function, I reflected on what Mother Kevin did for education and for the women. And as I ran through my life, I realized that I was privileged to be a product and a beneficiary of the deeds of Mother Kevin in many respects. I completed my primary education and junior education because at the time I was going to school in the early schooling time. We had primary living, we did primary living examinations at the end of P6. And after that, we had another 2 years of what we called junior secondary school. I did both at a school known as St. Michael Girls School, Namunyumya. This school was started by the Little Sisters of St. Francis, and the founding headmistress was Sister Mary John. Many of you may remember her. And she was succeeded by Sister Martha, both of whom have gone. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Sister Mary John held my hand and 2 other girls and took us to Namagonga after we had completed the junior living examination. Took us to Namagonga and introduced us to Sister Anselm, who was the headmistress then, who interviewed us. And after the results came back, I passed successfully. And I was admitted in Senior 1 at Mount St. Mary's, Namagonga. Had Sister Mary John not held my hand, I would never have seen the gates of Mount St. Mary's, Namagonga. Isn't that a contribution of Mother Kevin? My only, let me say our only, 2 daughters went through Mount St. Mary's, Namagonga. And right now, my granddaughter is at Mount St. Mary's, Namagonga, S4. My daughter, who is a medical doctor, obtained her master's degree in pediatrics from Mother Kevin postgraduate school of Uganda Matters University in Kozi. And Professor Dabera taught her. Thank you very much. What I didn't also say is that I had all my babies at Nsambia Hospital under the care of Sister Dr. Dagan. Professor Kiwanuka, I did not go to Missouri, but I'm a homemaker. I've been married to Mr. Okwako for 47 years. And we are still counting. So, all I'm saying, what I'm emphasizing here, is that I'm a product and a beneficiary of Mother Kearney. And I'm privileged that I've been asked to come here to officiate at this function. And I'm sure if each one of you were asked to say something, there is something which you benefited directly or indirectly from the works of Mother Kearney. As I was looking through the literature about Mother Kearney, and has also been highlighted here, that she lost her father and mother, but she lost her father 3 months before her birth, and her mother at the age of 10. And that resulted in her being raised by her maternal grandmother. What I read suggested that the grandmother contributed a lot to her good morals and spiritual well-being. She instilled in her discipline by being strict and yet loving. And I think that's the best way to discipline children. Be strict, but continue showing them love. She was disciplined because she had a grandmother who was a disciplinarian and yet loving. I believe that Mother Kearney was able to achieve what she did because she was disciplined. I thought she would deserve a clap for it. What this teaches us is that parents should endeavor to bring up disciplined children if they are to be successful. Unfortunately, many of our youth at different levels of education in different institutions lack discipline and end up getting involved in abuse of drugs, excessive consumption of alcohol, violence, and corruption, among others. It is unbelievable that a primary one child can bribe classmates to make her a prefect. And the story goes on and on at every level. Of course, the higher you go, the bigger the bribe. Recently, I saw a post in social media of a girl who was campaigning to be a head girl in one of the schools in Kampala, and it was like she was a presidential candidate. She was standing in an open limousine and waving, and all the other children were shouting and clapping and yelling. I'm sure they had been bribed somehow. But it's laughable but very sad that corruption has permeated our society right from those young ones. So they grow up thinking that if you are to get something, you have to give something. Very unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, this compels me to turn to the importance of discipline in life. Despite the fact that being disciplined is not easy, I think you agree with me, it's not easy to be disciplined. But discipline is an essential part of everyone's life. And this is applicable to all stages of our lives, to children, to students, to teachers, to parents, to administrators, to all of us. Discipline creates good habits. Good habits make routines. Routines become who a person is daily, who a person is weekly, who a person is monthly, who a person is annually. So in other words, discipline creates good habits throughout one's life. And self-discipline is the single most important virtue to becoming successful, as it helps one to stay focused on reaching one's goals, and it also enables one to overcome obstacles in life. According to Jim Rohn, this one was a successful American entrepreneur. I quote, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment," unquote. We should all strive to observe discipline. We should all discipline those under our care, but lovingly. It pays to be disciplined, whoever you are. When I say whoever you are, whether you are a minister, or a governor, or an executive director of the National Council for Higher Education, you have to observe discipline. It's necessary. So, in conclusion, I'd like to ask us to pray that the good Lord, through the intercession of Mother Kevin, the servant of God, inspires us to be loving and compassionate, especially towards the suffering, the poor, and the underprivileged. Caring for and supporting the underprivileged is a noble endeavor and is a way to transform lives and also to transform a nation. What I miss to say regarding my association with the work of Mother Kevin is that way back in 1971, at the end of my first year at university, I was given a vocational employment at the Noviet, which I think Sister was referring to as the Little Sisters of St. Francis Institute. At that time, it was not an institute. I think it was referred to as a Noviet. And I taught English at that institute. So if there are any sisters who are in the Noviet at that time, I taught you. I would like to support the proposal by Professor Semakula. Incidentally, when I was pursuing my PhD at Makerere University, Professor Semakula was the head of the postgraduate school at Makerere University. So I benefited from him when he was there. So I'd like to support his proposal of Mother Kevin Day, where the beneficiaries of the work of Mother Kevin will celebrate her life through charitable activities. I support you, Professor, and I hope it will be taken up. Finally, I would like to inform the friends of Mother Kevin that we have some contributions to the cause activities for beatification of Mother Kevin. The family of the National Council for Higher Education, we refer to ourselves as a family, the employees of this institution. The family of the National Council for Higher Education has contributed 1.1 million shillings. Sister, oh, the treasurer is yes, treasurer maybe will receive it. Sister Stella Namatovu is a member of Council of the National Council for Higher Education. She's my boss. I don't know where she's seated. Please stand up for recognition. She's not here? Oh, she's busy somewhere. So, and the institution, the National Council for Higher Education, this is a pledge, it will be coming soon, is contributing to these activities 1 million shillings. So I'd like to end by thanking you all for your attention. God bless you. Let me invite the treasurer to receive.
Okay, I'll receive it on her behalf.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We are honored. We are honored. Thank you very much. Can we please clap for our chief guest? Before we continue to the very last part of this function, I want to request Professor Semakula Chiwanuka to come back and do something for 1 minute. Professor.
Thank you, guests of honor. Just like you, I'm a married person, and I would like to introduce my dear wife, Veronica. Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor. At this time, I want to continue appreciating the people who have supported us, and the statewide insurance company known as SWICO, Centenary Bank. They did it before and they continue doing it again. We are very, very grateful because that's our bank. And then UAP Old Mutual. Thank you so much for your support. We really, really appreciate. Just a reminder, as the representative of the Mother General informed you, they have a number of items at the table where you registered. Please pick something. Whatever you buy means a lot to us. One by one makes a bind, right? So every little thing that you buy will be a contribution towards the noble cause. So please don't forget, pass by and pick anything and everything. And right at that table, we also have the gender medicine. This is, we all know the COVID-X team, Professor Wang and his team. Yeah, they're also represented at that desk. We are going to another good time as we continue appreciating people, and I would request the representative of Mother General to come and appreciate our chief guest. Yes, I request you to come back here for us to appreciate you. Dear Executive Director and Chief Guest today, can you please come back and accept our gift to you? A gift from the Little Sisters. Maybe she can say something. Okay.
On behalf of the Superior General, the Council and the entire Institute of the Little Sisters of St. Francis, I'm exceedingly happy and privileged to stand here to hand over to you this little token in appreciation for your humility in accepting to come here as chief guest on this occasion of the second memorial lecture of Mother Kevin. We appreciate all that we have heard from you for reminding us to be disciplined people, strict but loving. Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be the one to do this. Your encouragement at Namagunda St. Mary's, and I'm so happy to do this today. Thank you so much.
Is that okay? I want to call upon my chairperson of the Executive Committee of the Friends of Mother Kevin and the Little Sisters to come and appreciate Professor Semapula. Possibly this time you'll come together because you're receiving something. Professor and Mrs. Semakula.
kino ekiteeteeyi tukyagala tubuulire gye tunaakigula
Sister Boretina Suna, Professor agambye nti ekiteeteeyi kino kyenyamba bye bakyetaaga naye sikulaba gy'oli materials zaffe zikyaliyo. Message eyo mbadde nsaba Sister Antonia nyambaako okugintuusiza ewa Sister Boretina Suna ekiteeteeyi Professor akyagadde. Thank you.
I know we will make a shirt and the wife will have a dress. So more than 2 pieces are required. Yes, and everybody who is here, please look Mama Kevina. This is also kind of publicity. When you move around, everybody asks, what's that? Who is that? Then you start your story and everybody will buy and will like it. I'm humbled this evening to appreciate. But before I appreciate Professor, my sister Veronica, thank you so much for the support. Besides a strong man, there is a strong lady. So it's you, Veronica, who has done it. Professor, thank you so much for the sleepless nights. You really made a research. I thought I was the best to know more about Mama Kevina, but today I've also given you the crown. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are great and you are wonderful. And for that patience since 2020 up to today, and our chief guest, continue loving Mama Kevin. And I think we recruit
St. Joseph.
Mother Kevin did something for you, changed your life, mentored your children, mentored your wife, and whatever you saw. Rosa Veronica is one of them. Why don't we really? I don't know how we can do it. Maybe you can think about it, and when the skit is over, you say, let me bring something in view of what Mother mentioned, and in addition to the chief guest. It wasn't meant for fundraising, but you know people are tipping me here. Please, please. Mother Kevin, I was treated in Zambia hospital and I recovered. Why not to say something to Mother Mary Kevin? Are you getting my point? Am I communicating? Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much, my chairperson. St. Joseph, St. Joseph, St. Joseph, where are we? You know, I love St. Joseph. Huh? You're ready. Hey.
The chief guest,
We need to remember.
the guest speaker, the Vicar General, the religious fathers and sisters, the friends of Mother Kevin, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We are very much pleased to be here and we have a presentation. We ask you to watch us. The fraternity of St. Joseph's Girls Secondary School in Zambia. Thank you. Mama Kevina, flame in the bush. On the 28th day of April 1875, behold, the third and youngest daughter of Michael Kearney and Teresa Kearney is born, and the baby is baptized Mary Teresa.
My baby, why are you crying? I don't know why you're crying. I know the reason. Maybe because I'm not giving. But I've been looking for a name. Mommy, don't cry. I'm looking for a name to give you, but wait. You know, Mother Mary was very humble. So I know if I give my baby Mary, she will be very humble like Mother Mary. And the name I'm going to give you, my daughter, is Mary Teresa. Just like Mother Mary, I want you to be a peaceful lady. But don't cry. You'll be fine. Don't cry.
Its father dies before setting a glimpse on his youngest child. Her mother took passes on in 1885, and her maternal grandmother rears her in Aklo. She attends a local convent school, and in 1889, she goes to the convent of Mercy, where she trains as an assistant teacher.
Welcome back,
my daughter.
Good afternoon, grandmother.
How has your day been?
The day was very good. The students are quite interested at the school.
Oh, that's really good. Triza, have I ever told you how pretty and beautiful you're looking?
It all comes from God, and for that I am thankful.
Have you ever thought about marriage?
We have discussed this on many occasions, and you know that is not a path I'm willing to take. I have expressed my desire to serve the Lord many times.
Are you sure this is the right decision to take?
Yes, I am absolutely sure.
Would you feel uncomfortable amongst your peers? As you can see around the whole village, most of your peers are already married.
Serving the Lord is nothing to be ashamed of, and that is a cross I am willing to bear.
I'm going to give you more time to think about this, but my dear daughter, please think about it. I think it's the right age to get married.
Think about it as I go on my walk.
Just like any pretty girl, growing up in a perhaps permissive society, a young man approaches and lures her into a relationship that should later breed marriage. Triza in 1893 rejects this marriage proposal.
Young woman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Why do you look scared?
I'm not scared, for the Lord is with me.
Oh, the Lord is with you. Indeed, He is with you. When I look up, I see beauty, because you have been saved by the Lord. Please, I have a humble request. Accept it. I have a very humble request. Please, I would want you to be my own.
I have chosen to serve the Lord, hence I cannot be in a marriage with you. But thank you for your proposal.
Triza later moves to Essex, where she teaches at a school run by the Sisters of Charity. Upon realizing her dream of working with Africans, among Africans, Triza enters the Franciscan Missionary Sisters of the Five Wounds at St. Mary's Abbey in London in 1895. Mary Triza, indeed, by the grace of God our Father, takes up the name Sister Mary Kevin of the Sacred Passion on her profession on the 21st day of April 1898.
Brothers and sisters, we are glad. For today, we are getting novices professing their vows to enter the vineyard of the Lord, to enter the Franciscan missionaries of Africa.
The jubilant Sister Mary Kevin, together with 5 others, realizes her dream of working in Africa.
I name thee Sister Mary Kevin of the Sacred Passion.
Upon realizing her dream of working with Africans, among Africans, Triza enters the Franciscan Missionary Sisters of the Five Wounds as seen. The jubilant Sister Mary Kevin, together with 5 others, realizes her dream of working in Africa. The 6 ladies, together with Sister Paul, are sent to Africa in Uganda to establish a mission alongside the Mill Hill Fathers in Zambia. They leave London on 3rd November 1902 and braved a free trip on the lunatic line from Mombasa to Kisumu in Kenya, thus attaining the distinction of being first train to stay on the rail for the whole journey. On the 15th January 1903, the sisters set foot on the waters of the Pearl of Africa. They crossed Lake Victoria and finally arrived at their destination, Zambia, having footed the last 7 miles of the journey.
You guys are so welcome. Oh my God, this one is
The sisters are warmly welcomed by the Mill Hill Fathers and the people of the native land. Kevin becomes synonymous with acts of charity and generosity. The would-be teacher starts her first clinic under a mango tree near the convent, and in 1906, she sees the first hospital ward opened. Really, being her first time in Africa, and with the kind of service Sister Mary Kevin rendered, the first 7 years were particularly rough. Life in Buganda was a very low ebb. Sleeping sickness, smallpox, and bubonic plague ravaged the villages around Lake Victoria. Tropical diseases such as malaria and dysentery were rife. In 1910, Mother Paul returns home due to ill health.
I guess I will be fine. Let's first hope the people that need our help most importantly. I'll be fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm going to be okay. Let's first hope the needy. Okay.
Mother, I don't think you can manage here. You need to rest. I will handle this side. Okay. Rest.
Sister Kevin is given the task of building up and directing the missionary activities, of which Kearney Kevin becomes superior. Sister Mary Kevin returns to the Zambia mission and assumes leadership of both convents, taking the title Mother Kevin.
Sister
Well, Mother, I think it would be better if you go back for treatment. It's doing you no good staying here. Okay. Abalade mubele bulungi. Mugenda kuona temufayo. Mother Kevin is credited with promoting higher education for Catholic African women. With the help of Dr. Evelyn Connolly, a lay missionary, she founds a nursing and midwifery school in Zambia in 1924. Oh my God! Mother Paul has left me here by myself to handle all these sick people. A job I cannot do on my own. I think if I start a nursing and midwifery school, I would better equip the people with skills so they would not be this sick.
Mama Kevina, you visitor. Mugeni,
Oh, Mother Mary Kevin.
Dr. Evelyn.
Yes, I'm here. I'm very glad to meet you.
Glad to see you as well.
How is Africa? I hear this is Uganda.
Yes.
Wow, and this is Buganda. Okay, so I came here. Mother Paul just arrived in Ireland. She was really sick. So the congregation sent me here to help you with the treatment, the medication. Yes, how can I help you?
Doctor, the situation is terrible.
Oh,
The
sorry.
medicines are no longer working.
Are you
I don't know
serious?
what to do.
What is not happening here?
People are getting sicker and sicker every day.
Oh, I think we should. Let's try maybe a midwifery and training school.
I have the same idea. Because with the skills, they can learn to treat themselves.
By the way, there's something about the Africans. They are very fast learning people. I think these people will be, I think if we teach them some of the medication skills, and by the time we leave, they'll have learned and can be able to help their friends.
Yes, they will.
I think that's a great idea. Let's stick with that.
Over the next 30 years, Mother Kevin leads the expansion of the mission throughout Uganda and Kenya and founded numerous primary schools, secondary schools, teaching, training, and nursing schools. Additionally, the sisters run schools for the blind, orphanages, clinics, and hospitals. Schools are seen St. Namagunga Primary School, Namiliango Boys. There is Sube somewhere. Yes, those are the schools that Kevin founded and many others. So in May 1923, Mother Kevin oversaw the foundation of an ancillary African congregation, the Little Sisters of St. Francis. 8 girls approached Mother Kevin and they wished to enter the religious life. And in 1927, the congregation moves from Zambia to its own headquarters in Nkokonjero, and by 1948, it had over 200 members. Nkokonjero, the present headquarters of the Little Sisters of St. Francis. she is popularly known, returned to Uganda, and on 3rd December 1957, she receives a second burial in the cemetery at Nkokonjeru, the mother house of the Little Sisters of St. Francis.
Can we please give a deserving applause to St. Joseph's Secondary School? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right now, we are going to, the dinner is set. But before we do that, I want to invite our host, Monsignor Pasivante, to say something, but also to bless the food. Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting a bit dark, so please, as you're going to serve, be mindful of your handbag and your purse and your any other property, because it's getting a bit dark.
The chief guest, Professor Mary J.N. Obafor, Executive Director, National Council for Higher Education, the Superior General of the Little Sisters of St. Francis, represented by the Vicaress, the Honorable Professor Matia Chwanopa, Senokura Chwanopa, the lecture presenter, the priests and religious, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of His Grace, Archbishop Paul Simogere, the Archbishop of Kampala, I would like also to welcome you warmly this evening to this memorial lecture for Mother Kearney. The Archbishop had hoped to be here for this event, but due to other commitments, he was not able to come. However, he is with us in spirit and has delegated me to represent him at this occasion. Mother Kearney Memorial Lecture has taken place for the second time, with the interruption, as we heard, for 2 years of the COVID pandemic. This lecture is intended to raise awareness among the people within the church and our country about Mother Kearney, her life and her apostolate, Professor Simakura would like to thank you very sincerely for extending our knowledge of Mother Kevin. As we've been told, we are in a period when efforts are being made to have her beatified. This is a good strategy to make her known and also to publicize the effort for her cause and to invite all of us to use the prayer that was developed for the same cause so that we can be within that group or that army and praise to God for the intercession of Mother Kevin so that a major miracle may be done for her to be beatified. I'd like to thank the organizers of this memorial lecture, and this is a good way to bring the service of Mother Kevin before the people. Mother Kevin ought to be known because of the work she did with the assistance from God for the tremendous expansion of God's kingdom. Mother Kevin was religious, committed to God's calling, and also to bring God's goodness to God's people in our country. The work she did and the life she lived was led to bringing people to begin considering her as to be beatified. This is a great cause for her beatification. Much of her life and her dedicated service is yet to be widely known, and we need who are here this evening to be involved in that effort. The call has been extended to us to join the Friends of Mother Kevin, and I think this will be taken up and extended even to more people. A move like this lecture is one way of calling people to get to know about her. But fortunately, what she established in terms of institutions, especially the education institutions, are doing a great job to extend knowledge about her and what she did. Because many of these schools are handling numbers of the young girls and even boys who are going through those schools, and I hope they are also somehow, some way being introduced into the life and works of Mother Kevin. Books about the life and work of Mother Kevin are gradually coming out. I thank the team that has been set up for the cause of her beatification, the Friends of Mother Kevin, and the other people who have had a hand in the extending of that knowledge and also in this lecture. I thank all of you who have turned up for this cause, and we need to know more about Mother Kevin. May that commitment from now on be within us and from us, so that we search more knowledge and get to know about her. Because indeed, she did a lot for the church in Uganda, for our country as a whole. I'd like to thank the chief guest, because your presentation also informed us a lot about Mother Kevin. You relating to her very personally, and also relating your family members with her, because they have shared from her work. I'd like to thank the vicaress and also chairperson for the Friends of Mother Kevin for your information and your presentation. The first memorial lecture, which was given by Professor Paul was good. And now we are making even a step forward for information about her. And as we've been told that this is supposed to be an annual event, and we pray that there will be no other interruptions so that this continues. And as it continues, more information will be shared and a deeper knowledge will be acquired by many of us. I think this evening has been a good one and very informative one, and we hope to go away with more knowledge about Mother Kevin, and also our love for her work, also our love for her. The cause to be beatified will also be enriched. I'm sure with the presentation of Professor Semakura, we have been enriched in our hearts and in our minds. May this be a moment for all of us to grow in the love of Mother Kevin and the knowledge of her. May we all benefit from this delivery and from this evening. And thus we hope that we shall be drawn close to her and get to pray for favors and miracles from God with her intercession. May God continue to assist this process and this effort so that eventually, finally, she can be beatified and eventually canonized. We pray and we encourage the team that has been set up for that cause to work without losing heart or getting tired, so that finally we may arrive at the intended goal. May God bless you and continue to be with all of us. And I thank you.
Can we put our hands together to appreciate the host? You know, landlord, you have to get permission from the landlord and do whatever you want. Thank you very much. Monsignor, thank you, thank you. I remember even last time we were with you, so you blessed the starting of this event. Thank you very much. Yes.
Allow me, with all due respect, we are blessed to have so many fathers this evening, and I request that you say this.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God our Father, thank you for the love which you give us. We thank you for the people who bring good tidings to us, especially today as we think of the legacy of Mother Kevin. And we thank you for this evening which you have had. You have now given us a meal which you are going to share. We ask you to bless it, so that out of it we may be strengthened, serve you better in your vineyard. You who live and reign forever and ever.
Thank you very much, Father. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for bearing with us. And thank you for patience, thank you for your time. We are forever grateful. Now we've come to the good time of swallowship. And I request everybody to stay in their seats. We have enough ushers. They're going to pick table by table, because we don't want to keep you in the queue for a very long time. But one thing I can assure you, each one of us will have more than enough. to it. So please bear with us. And the ushers, can you please take your positions? I don't see the ushers for this side. Ushers, can we have some ushers to help us here? Can we have some ushers to help us here? We have a number of fathers, we have a number of PLPs, we have some elderly, we have sisters, and council members, and we have some people to help out. Members, I cannot forget, the baskets are not there, but the bags are here. Even the microphone is here. So you are free. This is the time, as few tables are being picked, to go and have dinner. So you can come and say, please, this is what I have. Politely, yes, yes, yes. In case you are there, let us support our chief guest and let us support all the projects that are actually going on. Thank you, thank you. DJ. There's an interview going on right here, so please give us a few minutes. Thank you.
around. Yeah.
To this side. This side. Okay.
Nakulinza ogambe hit andi wangambye ogenda gamba hit namanyi ogenda kwogera ku mayigoba omusajja azajja wano pressure gye bamuganda oba tebagenda kukkiriza kuteekako microphone positive bring feedback nagamba kati ejja agamba yayagala sound tuzanye vidiyo what time will you be having? No, 60. But you're saying Excel only, that is 60. That one comes
Thank you very much, our DJ. Thank you everybody. I see the tables are well decorated. Thank you. Concerning the contributions, there are those ones who may wish to write checks. Kindly, this is the name you are supposed to put on the check. Mother Kevin Centenary Block. Mother Kevin Centenary Block. That is contribution towards the monument at the Mother House at Ikokonjeru, as we shall be celebrating the 100 years. Then there is also this number 0772 59 3665. Those managing our IT, kindly you can give them. What I was doing. Someone who is managing our IT, kindly. And there are those ones who may be having money somewhere, and you can just put on your phone and send it to these numbers. Mama Kevin Centenary Block, in case of the check. And also this (0772 59 3665). And in case of a check, Mama Kevina Centenary Block. That is for the monument at Ikokonjeru Mother House. Then there are those ones also who are wishing to contribute towards the cause. The cause. As we are enjoying our dinner, we continue to appreciate all of you for the support, for your presence, and for your wonderful contributions towards the success of this event. Thank you, thank you, thank you very, very much. Pray through Mother Kevin, the intercession of Mother Kevin, you will get whatever you want. Thank you. Now, we have a doctor in our midst who is working at Zambia, and he wants to give us some tips, because our brother, either sister, the way you may call him or her, is likely to be on the way somewhere. So please, doctor, when I finish telling these people, Mr. Kaere, are we done? For the checks, Mama Kevina Centenary Block. Then for mobile money, that is the number. Then for the cause, kindly type it for the course. This is the mobile number 0772-860877. That is for the course. Thank you, everybody. Doctor is here. Don't break our hearts, but tell us what we need to know.
Thank you so much. I welcome you here. I also welcome our guest of honor, who was my rector at Kearney. I know he still remembers me. He was my rector. Thank you for coming here. I work with Professor Ogwan, and we are the founders of COVIDX. I welcome you here, but still, let's not forget that COVID is still around. And it's very important that we still use our masks, most especially at this function, where we meet all sorts of people from different areas. Yes, we made COVIDX for COVID-19. And we have been using COVIDX, most of us, for the flus and coughs. However, we have an Omicron variant cough that is more especially hitting our infants or our children. This Omicron variant cough is not a normal cough. It also attacks the adults, but it does not go away easily. Most times, when it takes a long time on you, it becomes an allergic cough or an allergic flu. It doesn't heal. It rests but comes back all the time. That is the Omicron cough variant. When we made COVIDX, we made it specifically for the adults. But now when this cough came, it specifically hit the infants. Sometimes we adults don't cough, but then you have a sore throat, itching throat, sometimes burning throat. It causes even pain in your chest. But then